regarding this talk today, it is very interesting. First of all, I really like the idea how Gintere had and the team named the workshop like Feeding the Future, because it's coincidence with two words that I find myself really interested in. First, since I come from the Faculty of Agriculture, so like agriculture production is in the core of what we do. And Gintere and I met in the cost working group on future transformation. So it sounds really, really fitted for myself. So, and now I have to talk on something that is very into the heart of all of us, not only to myself as agriculture economist, because food is something that is present in every of our lives, and it's necessary commodity. So, and then when we're talking about feeding future, and even now with taking into consideration all the changes that are happening. So we should not only thinking about agriculture productivity, increasing or managing, or even food availability, but even more on creating a resilient system that will transform and preserve in all these changes. So coming from my background, as you mentioned, not only agriculture policy, but also human resource development, this is how I actually structured my talk today. So I would start first maybe from the three challenges that we all face, which are also condensed in the title of this step today. Is first of all the food security. So we all see the last few years since the pandemic and all those geopolitical crises, how market has changed, and especially the small countries like Macedonia or all Western Balkan countries, except Serbia, but all the others were quite affected by the lack of wheat at a certain point, and then it was addressed in all other food markets. And then also climate changes affect the production conditions in which farming needs to survive. And especially here at the Balkan, we are quite affected by all these climate changes. And in terms, not that much in terms of increase of temperature as in terms of lack of water. So we are already living this this future, I can say. So there are either floods or there are no water for a longer period. So there are droughts affecting the yield. And when we were working on the field with farmers, so they are now aware of this climate change. They are living this, and they are totally aware of the need of changes. Unfortunately, all these things are not quite recognized by the policy decision makers. So climate change, mitigation measures, and so on, it's not that it's when they are used in the policy, it's more about terminology, it's more about meeting some objectives which are on paper and stays on paper, but are not really sees in practice, which is not very good in this room. But however, there is a quite of pressure from farmers, from farmer association on these issues. Then the second challenge that we all face is also nutrition and health, so that it's not that we provide food, but also we provide quality food, appropriate food to meet human needs. And we now live in a world where there are people which they are poor, they are malnutrited, and on the other side we have overweighted or even obese people. So this not lack of equity in the food distribution is on a global level is quite present. Fortunately, in the Western Balkans, we don't see that much of such pressure on these issues. However, the trends in human behavior and policy making might lead in that way, and we must be aware of that risk, so that to be established. To be met in the policy. And the third and very also important challenge that we all face in regard, we also mentioned climate change, but also is sustainability issues and environmental sustainability, more or less. Since agriculture is one of the factors that is affecting environmental quality, let's say, the air, water, land, and so on, soil. So it affects the deforestation in that regard, so that it could have a lot of more agricultural land. And in Western Balkan especially, I would say this issue is, again, more these objectives on environmental sustainability are more on paper. So we were doing some research, it's last decade, it's a continuous research, and the last research from the last year, it confirms that the budget spent on environmental aspects in each country is about 1% or even less than the total budgetary transfers to agriculture and rural development, which is about 2 point something is Montenegro's budget, but their budget is quite lower than the others. So, however, even 2% of total agriculture budget and 1% is quite low to meet very serious challenges that we meet. So, and even if we're speaking about environmental aspects, so it's more about in organic production, it's more about supporting farmers that's working least favored areas or areas with natural constraints. However, these are more about income support and not really structural measures that will support and protect make real challenges. And in this work, where we're working with throughout a lot of projects. For myself, I'm agriculture economics, so it means that I combine agriculture knowledge and economic knowledge in my personal view. And I thought that I know a lot, that I have wide views and vision of how it should be. And then in many of the projects, as Sarah mentioned, she's also different wide perspective on seeing. Now we were conducting an interview with people, biologists, environmentalists that work in these issues. So I could, when I could listen to their perspective on how agriculture should be transformed so that it affects biodiversity and pollution and so on, it really gives me even wider perspectives. Also, I think that if we want to tackle all these challenges that I mentioned, environmental sustainability and food security and even nutritious and available food, we really need to find an interdisciplinary approach. And then and it means that we should all work together. When I talk about we, then I go to the second thing that is very much of my interest, and it is about the importance of human capital in terms of people and the power they have, the power that comes from their knowledge, from their experience, from their will to contribute to the community and to the society. So that is why it is very important for these changes and for these transformations for the future to tackle all this, the human power. I had a very interesting exercise with my students in the course of human resource development. So they were supposed to see the, I call it time machine exercise. So we go in a time machine, we go in the future, 10 years in the future, and then they describe how they see their working environment, how they see agriculture, the place they're living, they work, what they work with, and so on. And it was very interesting when it was a group of about 30 students. How, and they are more about it in the first year of study, so it's like 19, 20 years of age, more or less. There are few older. And there was some that are seeing all this digital transformation, AI, robotics. So they see much of this transformation integrated. So they see something totally different. And the opposite of them, there were those who saw that the world more or less ended, how to say. So we are back in the village, working with traditional, the very traditional, most traditional works. And it makes me think after this this exercise. So how can we work actually with these young people if we know that have quite a diverse perspective, how to say, perception of the future. So then we need actually to tackle both sides, even those, and even see, maybe we can learn from both of their vision. I was also involved in another cost action exercise on visioning for rural needs. So those young people that are not employed and that are on the age until 29. So it was very interesting also to see their mind, how they are trying to solve the problems of their community. There has to be from rural areas and from until age of 29. And we are older than 29. We were not supposed to interfere this thinking or anyhow. And it was very interesting how I could see they were empowered. And they come out with very creative, constructive ideas. So I cannot share the ideas because I have not permission for that. But however, my personal feeling was that these young people have a power to change the world if we give them that power. So if we give them the voice to say what we need to do. So when I see all these things, so if we saw like human resource development, then human resource development, it is not just a support function is this process, but it is quite a strategic tool that if we develop the human resources in our country, then we can really truly develop the country and the future as we want for. So that's why, of course, we all support lifelong learning for farmers, but also for all those policymakers, decisions, so they can also see the changing environment. They can feel it, perceive it, and use it in their work. And I come now also in my talk to the policymakers. So policymakers are the people who are making the policy, but the policy itself, if we see, we can see it like in your title, I like it, the recipe. So actually the policy is the recipe for the future. I like it. And as in the recipe, it's all in the quality of ingredients. So if we have good ingredients in the recipe, we'll have a good cake. So if we have a good evidence, if we have good data, if we have good objectives, right measures, of course, like in measures in the cake. So then we can get with a quite a good result. And that is why we need also to put quite a high stress on the policy, because in the Western Balkan region, I could speak more about that. But also, yeah, I think in general, agriculture policies are more reactive, and we see it like they are strategic, long-term, but actually in practice they are short-term and more politically driven, unfortunately. So we need to do something more and to see the agriculture as part of the ecosystem, to drive policies that are more holistic. So this is what I also said like a week or two ago on agriculture policy forum I was attending. We have to recognize that we as a people, as a human race, we do not own the planet. We do not own the land, the water, and so on. So we are just part of this ecosystem, and we must act accordingly. So if we fight and use all the resources, then the nature, the earth will fight back. And this is what we are seeing in the current situation. And that is why we have to adjust our behavior so that our behavior will be transferred in the policy that we are guiding, so that the other people in our society can follow us in that line. So in general, we say that EU CAP is more environmental associated, so they have green agenda, targeted goals. However, in the latest year, we see something shifting in that from that agenda, and from the Western Balkans are more about aligning our policies to the EU CAP. So if EU CAPS is moving left or right, we are trying to follow. However, I think it's not enough. And what surprised me quite a lot this morning, I got a link from a friend of mine about an article in Guardian about the mega farms in the UK growing, like about how it was the number of 2,000 something mega farms, which mega farms means a single farm that has more than 40,000 birds or more than 2,000 fatteners and so on. So it's a huge pressure on the environment. And these mega farms is more from the system, from the US types of agriculture. It's quite intensive. And of course, they have quite a strong footprint on the environment, on the air, on the water, in general environment. And I was quite surprised that it's instead of going away from such practices, because our policy is should be more environmental friendly and based on awareness on our input on it, and then I am speechless. How did to say? I mean, I was really surprised because when I was reading and seeing documentaries on how American agriculture looks like, I never approved it as such. It's not human. It's not. There is no humanity for the agriculture kept in that way first, and then it's not good for the human living in that area under those conditions. And now it's coming to the Europe. So we have to change our way of thinking and maybe address some of these things. So coming to the end, so I mentioned few things about investing in people, aligning policy, strengthening institutions, how we should, of course, tackle this. So institution, of course, made of people and procedures, aligned with their policies. So, and then innovation. But we are more about talking about innovation, digital innovation, technical innovation, and so on. Maybe we should also think about some other innovation in more environmental, socially. So interdisciplinarity is playing a crucial role here. So we can all contribute with our personal knowledge and experience, how we can survive or support these transformations to be sustainable. And of course, the I would like to conclude with one of this theory you. I like that Otto Scharmer's theory you here when he said that if we want to make to feed the future, I mean, I would use the wording from here, then we must transform ourselves. We must, if we want to shift the society, we need to shift the source, and the source is us. So it is us, actually. It is our awareness of the things going on and our collaboration, trust among ourselves. So yes, we need maybe a shifted, transformed mindset to and shared strategies, shared vision of our future. So as our students had quite a differ vision of their future, but again, we have to find what is that they share, and that we can all address in that direction to put our strength in it and the power we all possess. So I will stop here. Thank you.